parents bought my sister a brand new house for graduation, then handed me a gym membership and laughed. I walked out furious, but a week later when she gambled the house away. When my sister walked across the stage smiling as she accepted her diploma, my parents were beaming with pride. They clapped the loudest, tears in their eyes, as if she had just cured a disease or won a Nobel Prize instead of simply graduating college. The entire celebration revolved around her, as usual. Then came the big surprise. A brand new house. I sat there, still holding the paper-thin envelope they had handed me just moments before. A gym membership. I blinked, thinking maybe this was a joke. Some kind of warm-up before my real gift. But no. My parents laughed, nudging me as if this was the funniest thing in the world. "Thought you could use it," Dad said with a grin, barely containing his amusement. My mother chimed in. "It's a great deal. We prepaid for the first 3 months." Across the room, my sister gasped in delight as they handed her the keys to her brand new home. A sleek, modern place in a good neighborhood, fully furnished and paid for in full. I felt my face go hot. I looked down at the gym membership in my hands, then back at my parents, who were still chuckling. As if my worth was a punchline. That was the moment something in me snapped. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor, the laughter in the room dying instantly. "Wow," I said, my voice calm but shaking underneath. "A whole house for her and a gym membership for me. That's funny, I thought I was part of this family too." My mother blinked. "Oh, don't be so dramatic." "Dramatic?" I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. "You know what? I'm done. You have your golden child. Enjoy her." And with that I walked out, leaving their stunned faces behind. I didn't look back. Not that they tried to stop me. I spent the first few hours in a daze. I drove around aimlessly, my grip on the steering wheel tightening every time I replayed the moment in my head. The way my dad had smirked. The way my mom had waved me off. The way my sister, smug and entitled, hadn't even pretended to be surprised by their favoritism. This wasn't new. I had always been the afterthought. Growing up, my sister got everything she ever wanted. A car at 16, fully paid tuition, endless praise. Me? I was lucky if they even remembered my birthday. I wasn't the star athlete, the straight-A student, or the bubbly, charming daughter they could show off at dinner parties. I was just there. The reliable one. The one they never had to worry about. I don't know how long I drove before I ended up back at my apartment, a small, barely furnished place I had worked my ass off to afford. No handouts. No help. Just me, grinding away while my sister lived like royalty. I dropped the gym membership card onto the counter and stared at it, my jaw clenched. They really thought this was funny. I let out a breath, shaking my head. Fine. They made their choice. And now so would I. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the responsible one. I wasn't going to be the backup plan, the family safety net, the one who swallowed my pride just to keep the peace. They had made it clear, I wasn't their priority. So from now on, they weren't mine. I turned off my phone. Let them wonder where I went. Let them sit in their shiny new house and celebrate without me. I was done. A full week passed, and I didn't hear a word from them. Not a text. Not a call. At first, it stung, more than I wanted to admit. Not because I expected them to chase after me, but because their silence proved exactly what I had always known. I was disposable to them. So I threw myself into work. Focused on myself. I hit the gym, not because of their pathetic little gift, but because I needed an outlet for my frustration. Every weight I lifted, every mile I ran, felt like pushing against years of built-up resentment. Then, exactly 7 days after I walked out, I got the call. It was my dad. I stared at my phone for a moment, debating whether to pick up. But curiosity got the best of me. I answered. "What?" There was no laughter in his voice this time. No smugness. Just pure panic. "It's your sister," he said, breathless. She lost the house." I frowned. "What do you mean, lost?" There was a long pause. Then, my mother's voice came through, frantic. She gambled it away. I almost dropped my phone. She what? She was at one of those private poker nights, my dad said, his voice strained. You know how she likes to have fun. But this time, it got out of control. She kept betting. Higher and higher. We tried to stop her, but... My mother's voice broke. She put up the house. And she lost. I let out a slow, disbelieving breath. The house. The house they gifted her like she was a princess on a throne. The house they held over me like I was nothing. Gone. Just like that. Karma had arrived faster than I ever could have imagined. I leaned back in my chair, a smirk tugging at my lips. Wow, I said. That's tragic. My father exhaled sharply. This isn't funny. Isn't it? I said, tilting my head. Because a week ago, you were laughing at me. Another silence. But this time, it was heavy. Then, the moment I had been waiting for. We need your help. I closed my eyes, savoring it. She has nowhere to go. My mother pleaded. We have to fix this. We need to buy it back before it's too late. We just need money. I finished for her. More silence. I almost laughed. Of course that's why they were calling. Not to apologize. Not to make things right. Just to use me one last time. And for the first time in my life, I was the one with the power. I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch between us. We need your help, my mother had said. The same woman who had smirked while handing me a gym membership like it was some grand joke. The same parents who had gifted my sister a house while treating me like an afterthought. And now? Now they needed me. I let out a slow breath, tapping my fingers against the table. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice calm. You gave my sister a fully paid-for house, a house, mind you, while I got a gym membership. And she gambled it away in less than a week? My mother sniffled. She made a mistake. No, I cut her off. She made her mistake. And now you want me to fix it? You don't understand. My dad snapped, his usual authority cracking under desperation. The house wasn't just a gift, it was an investment. We wanted her to have stability, a future. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, that's rich. So what was I? A bad investment? That's not what we meant, my mother rushed to say. I shook my head, smiling bitterly. You know what's funny? You didn't even notice when I walked out. You didn't check in. You didn't care. But the second your golden child screws up, you come running to me? I let out a low chuckle. That's gotta be some kind of record. Son, please. My dad tried again. We need this house back. The guy who won it, he's not going to just give it up. We need cash fast. If we don't act now, it's gone for good. And? I said, enjoying the way their panic deepened. And we thought, my mom said carefully, that maybe you could help. Just this once. I could practically hear the way it pained her to say it. To admit that, after years of treating me like an afterthought, I was their only hope. You always have savings, my dad added, a little too hopefully. You're responsible. We figured. I scoffed. Oh, now my responsibility is a good thing? Either of them spoke. I exhaled slowly, letting the weight of the moment settle in. For years I had been the one they ignored. The one they dismissed. The one they never celebrated, never invested in, never truly valued. And yet, when the golden child finally failed them, I was the first person they turned to. I had spent my entire life bending over backward for a family that never did the same for me. But that ended today. I took a deep breath and smiled. You know what? I said lightly. I do have the money. My mother gasped, relief flooding her voice. Oh, thank God. But I'm not giving you a dime. Silence. Then my dad's voice, low and furious. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm very serious, I said, my voice like steel. You made your choice. You made it loud and clear. You gave her a house. You laughed in my face. You spent years making sure I knew exactly where I stood in this family. I paused, savoring the moment. So now you can live with that choice. But I hung up. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly, completely free. The second I hung up, my phone started buzzing again. First my dad. Then my mom. Then, unsurprisingly, my sister. I ignored all of them. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about saying no. I had spent years bending over backward to be the good son, the reliable one, the one who never caused problems. And where had that gotten me? A lifetime of being overlooked. Now, suddenly, when they needed something from me, they were acting like we were a big, happy family. Not anymore. I put my phone on silent and went about my day. I worked out. Went to the grocery store. Even treated myself to a nice dinner. And the whole time, I smiled to myself, imagining them scrambling. And oh, did they scramble. By the next morning, the guilt-tripping texts had begun. Mom, we're family. We help each other. Dad, you're being ridiculous. This is bigger than just you. And my personal favorite. Sister, wow. You're really going to let me be homeless over one mistake? I almost laughed at that one. Homeless? As if she hadn't just gambled away a house she got for free. As if my parents wouldn't still bend over backward to make sure she landed on her feet. And yet, in all those messages, not a single sorry. Not 1 ounce of accountability. I typed out a response and sent it to all 3 of them at once. Me, you made your choice. Now live with it. And for the first time ever, I meant it. But if I thought that was the end of it, I was dead wrong. Because 2 days later, my dad showed up at my apartment door. The knock on my door was loud. Deliberate. The kind of knock that let me know this wasn't just a casual visit. I already knew who it was before I even looked through the peephole. I debated ignoring it. Pretending I wasn't home. But then I thought, no. Let's see what he has to say. I opened the door. There stood my father, looking far less composed than usual. His face was tight, his eyes weary. For once, he didn't have that air of smug confidence. Can we talk? He asked. I crossed my arms. Talk about what? How I'm selfish for not handing over my money. How I should help family even though you've never helped me. He exhaled sharply, like he had expected this but still didn't know how to handle it. Look, I know you're upset. I laughed. That's an understatement. Dad ran a hand down his face. Fine. You're mad. You feel like we've treated you unfairly. And maybe we have. That caught me off guard. My dad was never the type to admit fault. But I didn't let my guard down just yet. So now that you need something, suddenly you're willing to admit that? I asked. Where was this honesty last week? Last year? My entire life? His jaw tightened, and for a second, I saw a flash of frustration, like he hated that he even had to be here, that he had to ask me for anything. Look, I didn't come here to argue, he finally said. We're in a bad situation. Your sister screwed up. Big time. I don't know what she was thinking, and trust me, she's not getting off easy for this. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? So no new house in the works for her? His face darkened. We're trying to fix this. But we need money. And right now, you're the only one who can help. There it was. The real reason he was here. I leaned against the doorframe, letting the moment stretch out. Letting him sit in his desperation. Then I said, no. His nostrils flared. Think about what you're doing, son. I have thought about it. I tilted my head. Tell me, Dad. If the roles were reversed, if I had made a stupid decision and lost everything, would you be standing in my doorway, offering to bail me out? He didn't answer. And that silence was all I needed. I nodded. That's what I thought. He clenched his jaw. You're being petty. No, I'm finally treating you the way you've treated me my whole life. I stepped back and started closing the door. Good luck fixing your investment problem. Before he could respond, I shut the door in his face. I stood there for a moment, heart pounding, listening to the silence on the other side. Then, just as I turned away, I heard him mutter under his breath, just loud enough for me to catch it. "You'll regret this." I smiled to myself. No. They would. After my dad left, I expected some kind of fallout. Maybe another round of guilt-tripping texts, or my mom showing up at my door with fake tears, trying to smooth things over. But for the first time in my life, my family went silent. No calls. No texts. No desperate messages. At first, I thought they were giving up. That maybe, finally, they had realized I wasn't going to be their safety net. But then I got a message from an old friend, one who still kept in touch with some of my parents' acquaintances. "Dude, I just heard from my dad. Your parents are telling people you abandoned them in their time of need. That you're hoarding money while they're losing everything because of you." I stared at my phone, a slow, bitter chuckle rising in my throat. Of course. When manipulation didn't work, they turned to something else: public shame. I checked social media out of curiosity. Sure enough, my sister had made a cryptic post. Some people turn their backs on family when things get tough. It's sad when money matters more than blood. The comments were full of sympathy. Friends and distant relatives chiming in, saying things like, "You don't deserve this," and, "Some people forget where they come from." I could only shake my head. They weren't sorry. They weren't even embarrassed about what had happened. They were just mad that I wasn't letting them use me. And that was when I realized something important. I was finally free. They had no hold over me anymore. No power. Nothing they said could guilt me back into playing my old role. So, I did the one thing I knew would drive them crazy. I ignored it. I didn't respond to the messages. I didn't call to defend myself. I let them sit there, stewing in their self-made disaster, with no way to twist it in their favor. And then, just when I thought things had settled, I got a call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A deep, unfamiliar voice replied. "Hey, is this my name? I'm the guy who won the house off your sister." I sat up straight. Oh. This just got interesting. For a moment, I thought I had misheard. "The guy who won the house?" I shifted in my seat. "Yeah, this is me." "And you are?" "Name's Brandon," he said, his voice casual, like we were old friends. "Figured I'd give you a call. Your sister's been blowing up my phone, trying to buy the house back. Problem is, she doesn't have the money. So now your parents are involved. They said you might be willing to help." I almost burst out laughing. "Unbelievable." "Let me guess," I said, leaning back. "They're telling you I'm the rich, selfish son who's refusing to help his poor, struggling family?" Brandon chuckled. "Pretty much. But, I did some digging before calling you." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Yeah," he said. "Turns out, your family has a history of expecting you to clean up their messes." I frowned. "How do you know that?" He let out a short laugh. "Because your sister told me herself, without realizing it. She kept going on and on about how you've always been the responsible one, and how you always come through in the end. Like she was just waiting for you to step in." I gritted my teeth. That sounded exactly like my sister. "So," Brandon continued, "I thought I'd go straight to the source. Are you actually gonna buy this house back? Or are they just feeding me a load of crap?" I exhaled through my nose, a slow smile creeping onto my face. "No, Brandon. I'm not buying the house back." There was a pause. Then he laughed. "Damn. I kinda figured." "Let me guess," I said. "Now that I won't help, they're scrambling to guilt-trip you instead?" "Bingo," he said. "They even offered to work something out, which, I'm pretty sure, means we'll pay you back someday, but actually never." I smirked. "Sounds about right." Brandon sighed. "Look, man. I don't even want this house. I don't need it. But I want it fair and square, and I'm not about to let them screw me over just because your sister made a dumb bet. And you shouldn't." I agreed. "That's their problem, not yours." He paused for a second. Then, with a curious edge to his voice, he said, "You know, I was thinking of flipping it." cleaning it up and selling it for a profit. My heart skipped a beat. I knew exactly where this was going. Or, Brandon continued, I could sell it to someone else. Someone who might actually appreciate it. I grinned. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Depends. He chuckled. You interested in buying your sister's house, for yourself? I leaned back, a slow satisfaction settling into my chest. Well, Brandon, I said. That depends. How much are we talking? I could barely believe what I was hearing. For years, my family had treated me like an afterthought. They had handed my sister a house on a silver platter while giving me nothing but a gym membership and a laugh. And now I had the chance to buy that very house out from under them. Karma had never tasted so sweet. Brandon named his price, and to my surprise it was fair. He wasn't trying to squeeze me dry, he just wanted to make a profit and move on. I'll need a few days to think about it, I said, though my mind was already made up. No rush, Brandon replied. Just wanted to give you first dibs before I put it on the market. Your sister's gonna lose her mind when she finds out, though. I smirked. She'll survive. We hung up, and I sat there for a moment, processing everything. I could buy the house. I had the money. And best of all, it wouldn't be an act of charity. I wouldn't be saving my family, I'd simply be making a smart investment. The ultimate power move. I made my decision that night. The next morning, I called Brandon and told him we had a deal. He agreed to start the paperwork. And then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I sent a group text to my parents and sister. Hey. Just a heads up. I'm buying the house. For myself. The reaction was instantaneous. Mom, what? Dad, you can't be serious. Sister, are you kidding me? I leaned back, grinning, as the text kept rolling in. Mom, you're going to kick your own sister out? Dad, you're taking advantage of this situation? Sister, you can't do this to me. I typed back calmly. Why not? You did it to yourselves. Silence. Then, finally, my mother's desperate attempt at damage control. Mom, okay. Let's talk about this. Maybe we can figure out another way. I cut her off with one final message. There is no we. This was never my problem to fix. I'm just making a smart investment. The way you always told me to be responsible with my money. Isn't that right, Dad? Nothing after that. Just pure, empty silence. I smiled to myself, already picturing the look on their faces. But the best part? The real fun was just about to begin. Closing on the house was smooth. Brandon was happy to be done with it, and I was more than happy to take it off his hands. The moment the deal was finalized, I sent one last message to my family. Just sign the papers. The house is mine now. You have a week to get your things. The silence that followed was deafening. No pleading. No bargaining. Just quiet resignation. They knew they had lost. A week later, I drove by to check on the place. My sister was outside, shoving boxes into her car, her face red with frustration. My parents stood nearby, avoiding my gaze. I stepped out, hands in my pockets. Need a hand? My sister glared at me, her voice dripping with venom. I hope you enjoy your stupid house. I smiled. Oh, I will. And with that, I walked inside, into my house. For the first time ever, I won. And I didn't feel guilty about it at all.